there is something I forgot to mention on Monday. I nod and wait impassively because I can't even begin to guess what he forgot. The feeling of the handle delving deeper into my skin doesn't make me feel enthusiastic about this interruption either. It's about your medications. Since you haven't been that long on your current medications, there might be some unexpected side effects which might require adjusting dosages, or even changing to another kind of medication. So we will do a few tests regularly, but what I want is for you to keep an eye on everything in your condition if that feels off, if you get what I mean. Nausea, headache, anything, and come see me if something happens. Alright. So how are you? Everything fine? I give up and drop the can to the floor before answering him. Apparently this takes longer than my biceps can handle. I'm about to say something generic as an answer, but then I realise how often I've done that lately. Other people have asked me that too, teachers and students here, my parents, visitors, nurses, doctors at the hospital. Everyone seems to be concerned about that. It's natural for a hospital, not so much for a school. Except this school. This is a small school, and both the student base and the faculty seem to be very tightly knit. At least that's the feeling I'm getting. And this is not the kind of school that gets transfer students too often. The thought sends shivers up my spine, but I give a generic answer anyway. That's great. Also, one other thing. My sources tell me that you've been at neither the school track nor even the pool, so I'd like to know if you're taking up exercise as I asked. Of course I haven't, but his way of inquiring gives me the feeling that I should have been running my ass off on the track since the very first day. You have people spying on me? Not as such, I just happen to know a few people, but that's not the issue here, so don't try to slip out of it. Well, I was actually just doing some improvised weightlifting as an exercise. I pick up and lift the can up and down a few times like some sad imitation of a bodybuilder, even though it's weighing down on my arms painfully. You must be weak as hell, Hisao. I'm sorry, but you must be. The stupid grin disappears from his face for a second, then comes back like it was never gone. Tezuka, would you give us a second? The nurse grabs me by the shoulder without waiting for Rin's permission, which he didn't need in the first place, and drags me aside. When I told you to exercise, I wasn't joking. I understand that you are still on your first week and all, but please don't ignore the importance of this. The reason I'm coming down this hard on you is that habits are not easy to form. The more you slip and postpone, the harder it'll be. It's the same with everything, like dieting. Can you promise to be more serious about this from now on? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I promise, definitely. He studies me for a moment and then shrugs, smiling again. Okay, that's more like it. If you go to the school track tomorrow morning, you'll meet my spy, who probably has no qualms offering consultation to you if you want to jog a bit. Consultation? See you around. He leaves with the wave of his hand and no answer, and I walk to Rin, who has been waiting, idly leaning against the hallway wall and staring at the pale light fixtures in the ceiling. Even when I approach, she doesn't move her eyes off them. Are you getting medications for your heart thingy? Were you listening? It comes out more accusatory than I intended, accidentally lashing out on her. But even so, I don't really want to start talking about it. I just met her and I don't know her. It's not her business. The nurse seems to be happily ignorant about confidentiality too, talking about that kind of thing in public. But it's not Rin's fault, is it? I look up at her, suddenly feeling a bit guilty, but Rin is just staring past my shoulder quizzically, her head tilted like a bird's. Sigh. I don't know why this is so hard for me. It feels like there is some inexplicable lock that prevents me from being more upfront about this. Yeah, they're for my heart. Will they make you better? No, not really. They just make me a little less worse. Rin keeps looking at me for a while longer, and she neither says anything further nor displays any kind of emotion I could discern. I'm thankful that she doesn't. I think I'm still not quite used to all this. I need a drink. Okay. At the hospital it was easy, but I still haven't sorted my feelings out about having to live a normal life with this disability. We leave the main building and Rin leads us onwards towards the doom. Towards the dorm. We stop at the small patch of greenery in front of the dorm building. The dorm is built on a slightly elevated ground with a wall and a few trees that everyone has to circle around every time they come or go. It's probably the only inconvenient design in the school. The entire wall, made of the same kind of bricks as the building itself, has been covered with some sort of painting. Most of it is still mere sketches, quick lines drawn, and the black and white against the grey plastering that covers almost the entire length of the wall, but some places look a bit more finished. There are human faces and legs and hands. I can't quite say what the painting as a whole might portray. Stacks of what seem to be paint cans are arranged in piles on the ground beside the wall. See, the left side is hardly off the ground yet. It's because I couldn't get in the mood yesterday, so I gave up and went to meditate instead. Then it was suddenly morning. I have to work on it, but the guys from art class are helping with the negative spaces and base surfaces whenever, which is a problem. It's easier to paint big areas if there are a lot of people with hands. The reach is better and it's faster too. She goes on a tangent, waving a little with her arm, or whatever of it there actually is, to demonstrate, even though I got the point already. The white collection of her sleeve flaps around and it makes me think I could look sadder than it does. But it makes me feel out of place, like almost every tangible reminder of that student base's special properties has in the past few days. This girl doesn't notice my dreary feelings, of course, or the fact that she lost me a while ago already, and just keeps on blabbering. So that's why I'm trying to figure out if there's something I need to figure out, and then figure that out before it's too late and all hope is lost. Figureception. Why would the hope be lost? Because paint has to be painted, and then it has to dry, and then it has to be painted over with another kind of paint. It takes time. She finally stops, apparently thinking she made some kind of statement that makes sense. I think it's best to start from the top. So this is your project? You did this? Yes. All of it? Yes. Nice, but I stumble with my words, suddenly feeling like I've walked straight into the minefield of potential incorrectness. It's okay, you can say it, I probably won't get mad. I blush really hard, I don't really know what would be the right thing to say, if any. It feels that I'm way more sensitive than Rin is, though. This is really awkward. Don't you want to ask? How do you paint without hands? See, I'm an easy person to talk to, right? With my feet. I almost guessed that already, but isn't that hard to do? You're good at guessing. Anyway, I don't think it is, but maybe I'm used to it by now. I can't get my mind around the fact that she could be an artist, but seeing how adept she was using her feet to eat, I figure painting might not be a problem either. Neither of us has anything more to add to the subject. The afternoon light works pretty well. I was afraid it would look too flat, but it's not like that after all. I think it's actually pretty interesting. I wanted to see what it looks like in the dim light. Do you think it's flat? Well, paintings tend to be flat. Not like that flat, you know, flat. Like some people are, no substance, no meat, where there should be some. Whoa, what? I know a few girls who... Okay, I get it, but I couldn't really tell. I'm not that good with art. I can't name many artists or artistic terms, so I don't really have anything to say. Rin shrugs her shoulders at that, saying, "Suit yourself," without saying it, and looks up at the sky as if trying to look for something up in there. I didn't think I'd get any actual work done, but if you give me a hand with the paints, I could do a little before it's too dark. I wanted to get a halogen lamp like the ones they have at the sports track, but there aren't any. Rin sure is quick to recruit my help, as was Shizune. It really makes me feel that the festival is such a big project that every pair of hands is needed. Why not? I'm not really sure if I can be of any help though. It's just mixing some paints. You can do that, probably. Do you have motor control problems? Like, you know, those people who have some? Cerebral palsy, maybe? Not that I know of. I get it. Hardy thing has nothing to do with that. She gives me a sly look for no reason. No, it doesn't. Let's do it then. The painting, right? We're talking about the painting? Yeah? Okay. So she sits on the empty wooden box and very naturally picks up a wide brush between the toes of her bare right foot. I open a few of the cans and pour some of the contents into shallow bowls for mixing. The thick paint throws... Oh man! Need another drink. The thick paint flows lazily from the can to the bowl like syrup. That was a hard sentence. I mix them, creating funny, hypnotic-looking swirl patterns that melt quickly into each other to form a new monotone hue. Rin sets to work every now and then asking me for a hand with something or the other. Finding different brushes is easy enough, but mixing the paints to be the exact tone this girl is apparently seeing in her head is a frustrating ordeal. She wants precision. Sorry. I'm sorry. She wants precision down to the last milliliter before she is satisfied, but her instructions are obscure at best. Add half a splash of green. I crouch down to pick up the can of bright green. The other green, this green. I carefully pour some of the other green paint into the mixing bowl. No, that's almost a whole splash. More white. Is green a good colour to add? No idea, you're the artist here. A hint of smile appears in the corners of her mouth. Do you lack an opinion? No, it's just I have no idea. It's okay, because I got an idea. Add more white. With this exclamation, I pour a minuscule amount of white into the bowl and mix it. It looks slightly whiter. Wow, you don't say. That's not good. It has to be like the colour when you wake up and you know that you saw the meaning of life in your dream but can't remember it. Maybe it's yellow. She has no idea. Despite the impossibility of mixing a colour like the change of seasons or any other nonsense that's being imposed on me, I find myself enjoying it more than I thought I would. Seeing a painting being born on the placid wall feels like magic. I spend the moments I have between mixing paints crouching down on the paving and just looking at her work. It feels slightly intrusive at first, like breaking some imaginary intimacy, but Rin doesn't seem to mind the least bit. Maybe it's just in my head. Her entire presence emits a completely different air as she patiently works on details, adding layers of paint on top of other layers of paint, steadily mowing her foot across the wall to add new shapes. I said mowing, didn't I? Moving. When I manage to produce a passable mixture of paint, the rare smile on her face is oddly rewarding. Apart from the few words when discussing paint mixes, neither of us says a word for the longest time. And even those short discussions soon evolve into a shorthand, both of us developing and using weird impromptu code words for various paints and hues. You say you don't know any artistic words or anything, and you're saying hues. I mean, that's as if there was some need to conserve words and breathe in sound. We stay there late into the evening until it becomes too dark to paint properly. Katawa Shoujo, do Katawa Shoujo, just like chill chaos. The sound of an alarm pulls me out of a fitful slumber into the unpleasant state of wakefulness. I linger under the blankets for a few minutes, gathering energy to rise up while making excuses as for why I already haven't. I do that, and I'm sure all of you do that. Everybody does that. Alarm wakes you up, you turn it off, you think in your bed, oh, should I really get up? Just a few more minutes. Half an hour later you're still in bed, then you look at your clock, and you've got like 5 minutes to get to school. That's the life. Honestly, I wouldn't mind staying here for all day. School is surprisingly exhausting after a long pause, and the culture shock still has not faded, I think. Still, despite getting an impression that skipping class is easy here, I don't think they are going to let me get away that easily. And the nurse is bound to keep breathing down my neck with the talk of exercising as well. So eventually I do rise up, swallow the morning medications, and put on my old soccer clothing. Thanks to my condition, I was exempted from taking part in gym classes at Yamaku, so I didn't get issued with a gym outfit. I'd order some to cover such a contingency, but wearing my old soccer clothes is kind of nostalgic. I can't use them for that anymore, so maybe they can get a new life this way, a bit like me. After all, if I'm going to start taking care of myself, I can't afford to slack around. I'll start from the basics. Basics which include keeping the rest of my body in shape along with what little I can to strengthen my heart. Maybe then I can go back to something approaching a normal life, or at least something where I'm less likely to fall over dead at any minute. I'm surprised to discover that I'm not the only one present at the track. Not just that, but it's a face I've seen before. The prosthetic-legged girl who bowled me over in the hallways yesterday is running on the track lithely like a half-mechanical gazelle. What was her name again? It was a short one, but I can't remember. She seems to be running laps at a somewhat easy lope, and prosthetic legs clacking rhythmically on a hard track surface. I wonder what reason she has for running this early in the morning. Maybe it's something akin to mine, and the nurses are pressing the poor girl to jog just like he is oppressing me. I certainly wouldn't be here if it weren't for my health and is prompting me to do so. It sounds like she's jogging on the spot. Can anybody else hear that, or is that just me? It's there. It sounds like she's jogging on the spot or running in a very small circle like directly around me. And even with things being like they are, it's only because I wanted to get it out of the way early. The fact that I would be less likely to encounter someone who would witness my pitiful attempts to get in shape was merely a happy accident.